Today is August 29th, 1955. Last night, a 14-year-old boy was killed in Money, Mississippi. A man is killed every day. What's so special about this one, you ask? Well, it was a totally different scenario. As you go about your day today, pondering the mystery of iniquity in life, pray for and remember the death of Emmett Till.
Oh, yes it will. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too.
In Toni Morrison's Song of Solomon, guitar, along with the other members of the 7 Days, was always intent on revenge, very much like the extremist group, the Black Panthers. In Chapter 3, Milkman finds guitar at Tommy's barbershop, crowded around a radio, discussing two recently murdered boys. Emmett Till, a black northerner, killed in Mississippi, and a white boy killed in their very own town.
A change gonna come. Oh, yes it will.
Emmett Till was a 14-year-old boy from Chicago, Illinois. He was visiting his cousins in a town called Money, Mississippi, away from his mother, where he was killed for allegedly whistling or flirting with a white woman, the wife of a store owner.
Hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come.
After several nights, the woman's husband, Roy, and his half-brother arrived at Till's great-uncle's house, where they took Till to a barn, tied him up, beat him, and took out one of his eyes before shooting him through the head and dumping his body in the Tallahatchie River. He was weighed down by a 70-pound cotton gin fan tied around his neck with barbed wire. His body was discovered and retrieved from the river 3 days later.
But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh!
On page 154 in the novel, Guitar explains to Milkman what is going on. He says, and I quote, "I suppose you know that white people kill black people from time to time. And most folks shake their heads and say, ain't that a shame? I can't suck my teeth and say, I had to do something. And the only thing left to do is balance it. Keep things on an even keel. I help to keep the numbers the same." Guitar basically admitted to knowing more than let on about the killing in his town. He was harboring Empire State, who was on the run for this very reason. In doing so, he introduced the 7 Days, a group of people who hanged, burned, raped, murdered, and everything in between whenever it was done to them first. Till's body was returned to Chicago, where his mother insisted on a public funeral service with an open casket to show the world the brutality of the killing. Tens of thousands attended his funeral or viewed his casket and body, which was mutilated beyond recognition. The trial attracted a huge amount of press and supporters for the killers and the killed. Bryant and his brother were acquitted of Till's kidnapping and murder, but months later, protected against double jeopardy, they admitted to killing him in a magazine interview. Guitar talked about the injustices brought upon African Americans and the need to correct them. If no one else would, then why not him? As it was indirectly explained in the novel, the killing of Emmett Till, along with others, directly affected Guitar's and the 7 Days' plan for revenge. An eye for an eye is a bell that is constantly rung throughout the story. Reverend Cooper and Cersei's idea was to wait out the enemy, beat them by survival. The 7 Days, on the other hand, fought fire with fire, literally.
For the rain together, for the wind to suck, for the sun to
On September 15th, 1963, a church was bombed in Birmingham, Alabama, killing 4 colored girls, sparking mass revolution across America. When most people hear the word church, they think of Sunday. Well, Guitar was a Sunday man. He needed funds to get the material to create an explosion enough to mimic the one done before. He counted entirely on Milkman to find the gold to do this, showing how important this idea of an eye for an eye was. Guitar suddenly became interested in geography. With that being, most of his attention was directed towards the South. His interest in geography kind of foreshadows his future interest in politics. His interest in politics demanded his opinions on civil issues, eventually involving him with the 7 days, connecting the death of Emmett Till and others directly to Guitar's plans for revenge.
From the poplar tree